back in time.
I feel like that should be a dance.
Okay, does anyone need a drink or anything?
Every so often it's going to be, no, damn it! Do you want to get the singing out of your system now? No. The minute you walk through.
Oh no. I knew that joke.
I knew that was going to happen! It was just a joke.
Okay, he snapped it.
Hi everybody! On in my mind, gotta get right to the point. Hi everybody, and welcome to the first episode of 2015, our second series. Today we are discussing the 1986 movie, The Golden Child, starring Eddie Murphy. The movie is about a missing children investigator. Missing children's investigator? That works. Who discovers that he is the chosen one in the quest to find and save this generation's golden child. That's all I can say about that without giving too much away. So we're going to start with general impressions of the book. And because Jasmine hasn't been with... Oh my god. You know that's the second time I've done it. Third time I've done that.
Is that all? I'm actually kind of impressed with you.
First impressions of the film. And because Jasmine's being a smartass, we'll start with
I don't know what to think of it because I don't know what it was. It's like it couldn't decide if it was the backstory to a MacGyver episode or a feature film or just like a super 80s music video that was super America with flag, flag, donut shop, flag. I'm like, okay. I don't know. I think the emphasis when you say the 1986 film, The Golden Child, emphasis on 1986.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got nothing. I'm still feeling a little bit blindsided. It's just I was watching it like I can't form a thought right now. I don't know what's happening in life.
Okay.
My first impression of the movie really was that if Tina Turner had have made a cameo in this movie, it would have completely fit in.
Yeah.
We don't need another hero.
As mentioned previously, before we started filming, I think the only film more 80s that I've seen than this movie would be David Bowie and Labyrinth. And his crotch shots.
Yeah.
I've said it before, I've said it again. If you're not looking for it, you don't see it.
No, when it's like on half the screen, you know. Anyhow, that's another movie.
Yeah. For me, this was actually one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid, and looking back on it now, it still strikes the nostalgia chord, but it's so 80s. Oh my god.
It has not dealt well with the time.
No,
it's not aged gracefully.
Well, the story itself has, but everything else hasn't.
There literally was a MacGyver episode about this. You do know, The Wish Child.
Was it?
Yes.
Yes, and it had James Hong, who kidnapped the Wish Child.
Well, in this one, James Huang was trying to save the Golden Child, so, you know, reversal of roles.
Well, more or less. Basically, he was like, hey, go save the Golden Child. I'll wait at the airport for you and then stand by and do basically nothing, but I'll have an awesome voice that makes you want noodles.
Noodles?
Yeah, he's the voice for Poe's father in Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Noodles.
Literally the first two notes that I had on this was, oh my god, this is so 80s, followed by, oh my god, is that Charles Dance?
Yeah.
And it was.
And my first two notes are, oh my god, I'm dying of 80s, send help. And my second note was, Charles Dance. What song you're talking about, Charles Dance? Holy shit.
Holy shit, it's Charles Dance. Unsurprisingly, in the villain role, he plays the villain so well.
He's got the face for it. It's like the Christopher Lee kind of face.
Yeah.
The sophisticated villain, because if you look at the dress and stuff, it's
oh my god,
close.
the ascots. It's like, how long is that thing?
And I think it's in the airport where we had the jacket and the low and the tie and stuff, and it just really suited the character. I think
it did.
Of all the characters, he was the best Best dressed. I think they spent
Yeah.
the wardrobe budget on him.
Yeah.
You know,
I
love what he was wearing.
That's
in
my
this.
fourth note. Was pretty wicked costumes though.
Yeah, although it made me laugh when they're marching supposedly through the mountains of Tibet in the middle of a snowstorm. And he's still just got that jacket sort of flung over him without
Yeah.
his arms in the sleeves
Yeah.
or anything, in his impeccable dress, and you're just like, you would have frozen to death halfway up this mountain. There's
Just a little bit.
no way.
But he has hellfire inside him, so
That's
that's gotta
true.
keep you kind of warm.
That's true.
Just a little bit. Well, he doesn't have any soul anymore, obviously. So
No.
you know.
He's
Clearly-
fine.
That's something that made me laugh hysterically, which I'm fairly sure was not supposed to in this film, is evil referring to itself as evil. And it was literally, there is enough evil in this knife, or something like that. And I'm like, because the whole point of evil is it doesn't know.
It believes it's in the right.
It believes it's in the right, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is very much of.
Well, and especially when he was talking to like Abe Lincoln in hell or whatever that thing was, when he was like, it looked like it. He's like, what shall I do, Lord? And then like the wall dissolved.
Yes.
And it looked like Abe Lincoln sitting on a rock surrounded by fire. I'm like, what's happening here?
Wasn't that Charles Dance sitting on the rock surrounded by fire?
He looked like Abe Lincoln in all
He
the
looked
silhouette.
like a very blonde Abe Lincoln.
He was silhouetted. Anyways, the point is, even then, you know, Abe Lincoln in hell was going on about be careful of the good. I'm like, you don't really understand this, do you? You don't understand what your role in this story is.
Yeah.
It's okay, I don't either, just as long as we're on the same page.
Hold on. Eddie Murphy movie, 80s movie, 80s soundtrack. You expect it to make sense? I guess that's.
I had hopes.
I guess that's my first fault with this movie. I was expecting something from it, but beyond the 80s soundtrack.
Pretty much. I also have to ask, was using the word ass new in the 80s or something? Because I don't think I've ever heard it so many times in one movie. Did that jump out at anybody else?
No.
Oh my
It just
god, it was
seemed-
like non-stop.
Oh, maybe it's because I hang out with the
Like,
I mean,
a dozen times.
I call people ass a lot, but I mean, it was like, there was that magazine right at the beginning called Chunky Asses, which you had to appreciate because it was like truth in advertising. I was like, hey, good for you. Tell it like it is. But then it was like, for the rest of it, every insult incorporated the word ass. I'm like, is this a novelty?
Maybe it's the only insult that they could incorporate that would leave the movie still be PG.
That's the other possibility.
PG-13, because as soon as at that point in time, as soon as he started dropping the F-bombs, then it'd be like restricted or something
Yeah.
for that time period.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. My other question about the 80s, if anybody remembers airplane travel in 1986, did headphones really look like pink stethoscopes?
Right?
Because I was like, it took me a minute, I'm like, the hell is he doing? Is he gonna give someone a physical on this flight? And then music started, I'm like,
I thought that too, and then I kind of queued back in my memory there, and I remember seeing things similar to that in other films from that time period, so possibly.
it must have been a thing.
The thing that struck me about the airplane was the smoking on the.
Yes, that was, I had a note about that. When did smoking get banned on airplanes? Anybody?
I can't remember. I will research it and put it out.
Excellent.
Right.
We're learning.
Okay. There were a whole bunch of what the fuck moments in this movie.
The whole movie was one single moment, I think. Accurate.
I would disagree. But the dancing Pepsi can was one.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it was adorable, but it was also, what the, whatever.
Actually, you know what? That made more sense to me than some of the other stuff, because at least then it was like the golden child winning over that guy who will eventually help him get freed.
Yes.
So, you know,
Yeah.
that made a hell of a lot more sense than most of the things.
The backflip entrances.
Oh dear God.
Why?
Oh dear God.
What? So unnecessary.
And escaping the house pantsless. I was like,
Okay, so the first backflip entrance happened at the biker house, where she sees what's happening, and then she turns around, faces the wall, and then starts backflipping in. Why? Why? That is the least clever thing you could. I mean, it's very athletic. Good for you.
but I would also like to make the point that, you know, they put her in white, and then they're like, oh, obviously some water will manage to
yes,
spray when she kicks
absolutely.
the guy through the wall. I'm like, oh, look, Murphy's Law gotcha. slash
Eddie Murphy's Law.
sleazeball producers.
Yeah, yes.
Who are just like, oh, let's put a girl in white and then get her soaking wet while she's fighting.
Yeah, that struck me too. But the other backflip thing was when she got, spoiler alert, a quirrell or a crossbow bolt in the back. She was right beside him. She was right beside Charles Dance's character when he had the crossbow up and aimed. She could have just pushed him and saved herself both the backflipping and the quirrell at the back. I just...
And there's the other thing too is he shot, rather the guy Eddie Murphy was fighting at the time, he had the briefcase, but the guy chopped the chain from the briefcase, so the briefcase dropped by Eddie Murphy's character, right? Okay, now, Sardo Numspa.
Wow, you're good. I'm like bad guy.
Noopsie!
Brother
Noopsie is
Okay,
Eddie
that was
Murphy
fun.
character, yes. Oh, my brother Noopsie, come here, brother. And he shoots her from way over there, okay? And she's here with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And then, next shot, you see him walking away with the briefcase.
How did that happen?
Yeah. No, I had so many issues with that scene, especially I'm like, he's obviously trying to hit Eddie Murphy. She gets in the way because he, waits 5 minutes for her to finish her gymnastics show. And then shoots. And then she gets hit. And then the briefcase just somehow ends up with them, and he decides not to kill Eddie Murphy, and they all just walk away very, very slowly because obviously he's not going to try to do. It's like I call bullshit on everything.
But don't you know don't you know the Olympics? You don't interrupt a gymnastics routine. You gotta wait till the end, okay?
Yes, obviously.
Yeah, these are
Obviously.
the fight scenes in this movie were the
Oh my
worst
God.
ever.
With the metal band playing in the background on the TV.
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that bikers who are into human trafficking don't just sit around and watch music videos.
Shows what you know about the world.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong, actually. I do just sit around and watch Miley Cyrus videos. I don't know.
Yeah.
Writing lyrics for new songs.
Yeah.
You'd like the better ones.
But that actually brings up my final point, which was point number 46. Which was scribbled down in the dark because I was like, I finished the movie, I'm turning things off, I'm going to bed, I'm going to sleep off this drug-induced haze, whatever I just watched. And then about half an hour later, I sat bolt upright, I'm like, wait a second. Why did that first girl get killed in the first place?
To be the blood for the porch.
Why her? Why?
It has to be some random person, and therefore, story-wise, you have to link it to the main character being Eddie Murphy searching for said
It's
person.
the most contrived.
It was a plot convenience.
Yeah.
It was not a plot convenient. Like, it made no sense to me.
Really? It made sense to me.
Yeah.
They kidnapped a girl so they could get her blood. So that
Why do they need her blood? Like, why do they have to sell her to Tommy? Why don't they just kill Tommy? He's obviously very killable. Like, why did they kill him in the first place?
maybe it's because in order for the golden child to be properly corrupted, he has to eat/drink the blood of an innocent.
Oh yeah, because that girl was super innocent.
Well, I don't know. She was kidnapped. She went missing.
Yeah, but she went missing while she was hanging out with bikers at a biker bar. Like, I'm kind of assuming she wasn't the virtuous saint. You know?
I don't know.
Call me, stereotypical, but I'm just gonna assume that, no.
On another
That's
note,
stupid.
there's a few things about this movie, obviously, as had been mentioned between takes here. JT Riat, whatever her name is there, the child is actually a girl. They kidnapped the little boy, the golden child was supposed to be a boy. But they looked for a male actor, but they couldn't find anyone suitable. So this girl, Jasmine, JT, they signed her, shaved her head for the role, and credited her as JT Riat to hide her sex. because they didn't want. No, it can't be a girl. It has to be a boy. So anyhow, random stuff
It's
there.
the 80s, whatever.
And going with the portrayal of women through the movie anyway, I'm gonna go with not surprising.
Yeah.
And what I need to know is if there's a biker gang, where was Mr. T?
That would have been pretty awesome.
Pretty awful. I cracked up a lot in this movie, but probably not at the places where they intended the audience to crack up. Particularly like when Eddie Murphy got his hands on the knife. There was that ridiculous trumpet.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay.
I had that moment too.
That said, some of his lines were pretty hilarious. I was giggling a lot because of Eddie Murphy. I liked his wisecracks a lot.
It was clearly written for his style of humor.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Like his only a man whose heart is pure and only a man whose ass is narrow
Yeah,
can fit down these stairs.
Yeah. That was funny.
Yeah, he did have some funny moments.
Yeah, and then he got down into that cavern. I'm like, oh right, the 80s where nobody really cared about motivated light versus unmotivated light.
Yeah.
Everything just glows. But then again, compared to most of the characters in the movie, I think the light was the most motivated part. So. Tell me I'm wrong. Someone dispute this. Find one character who made a lick of sense.
Charles Dance's character did.
Well, okay, fine, but that's because it's kind of hard to argue with the motives of demons with wings. They don't really have a point. They just are, and they just do whatever.
But they dress fabulously.
They
though.
do.
They do dress fabulously. But I did have a couple of issues with wardrobe. Eddie Murphy's hat made me wish I was drunk, because then maybe I could understand. I could not. It was horrible. And she had one earring smaller than the other, and it was just driving me up the freaking wall.
I didn't even notice.
At first I thought she only had one earring, and then I realized that it was just like a smaller version of the bigger one that was on this side. I'm like, why would you do that? And it was so distracting. It was so angering.
You can tell you work for wardrobe.
Come on, though. It was like, what's wrong with you? If there was a reason for it, I want to know.
It's a comedy, obviously, that's made for jokes and laughs. But the story that was holding it together was so extremely thin. There was.
What was your typical adventure story?
I don't know. The base of the story made sense to me. They just pretty much destroyed it with all like the trying to put a love story in there. I'm like, stop, make it stop. Make it stop. You don't want to marry her. You're an asshole, and she's got better things to do with her time.
Clearly, she's a priestess or something of the Golden Child or something. I don't know. She seems to be.
She's the daughter of one of the monks who is guarding the knife.
She's clearly got some role to fill in this. I mean, part of her role is not to marry Betty Murphy.
Betty Murphy?
Betty Murphy?
I totally just heard Betty Murphy. No marrying Betty Murphy. There were some things I really liked about this movie, more than just the nostalgia. I liked that Eddie Murphy's character was incredulous pretty much most of the way through the movie.
Yeah, that at least was plausible.
Yeah, that was plausible. Also, I remember that demon scaring the crap out of me when I was a kid watching this. When it transformed into the winged thing. And there were some moments when it was still really scary, although very, very, very 80s in its delivery.
Yeah.
There is one shot though where you can see Eddie Murphy's character and you see the demon from the back of the head, and you realize that right there is a man with the mask costume on.
Yeah.
It's like complete thing at least, not just
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to pull that sort of stuff off in the 80s with what they had. I think for the time they did a pretty good job.
Yes.
For the time. You can't really compare it to now.
No, but you can compare it to earlier movies.
Like
There's
Star Trek.
yeah, Star Trek.
Star Trek would do it better.
I don't know. There have been so many movies about demons through the ages, and
I can only think of modern examples, and they're all shit. Except for Hansel and Gretel. That was fun.
they've been like making movies based on like Dante's Inferno and stuff since like silent film days. And
Yeah, but I think if they tried to do that demon in like practical, like a guy in a costume, you could just tell it was a guy in a sewn-up costume. It'd be even worse.
possibly. I don't know.
In my opinion, I think they did a good job with it. All right. Final thoughts. When to start?
I have another question. Because can somebody explain to me why drinking the water makes the fire go away?
No, I've never.
That pissed me off.
I never.
If that was the law of
understood.
nature, I'd be the best firefighter ever. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. I have no idea how he came to that conclusion because I would have tried to pour the water on.
That was what I thought he was going to do. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that makes vague amounts of sense. It's
Well,
a big fire for not much water. And then he drank it and it went away. I'm like, no, I'm dead.
It didn't make sense to me, but I did see it coming. Because just before that, the guy's like, what was it? Follow the rules, but know when to break them.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, he's obviously got to break the rule about the water, so what's he going to do? I like to just go and drink it. It's in a cup. It's not in a bowl, it's in a cup, made for drinking, therefore it's likely to go and drink it. It has made logical sense that that's where it's going to go, but not as to why it would work.
Made zero sense.
It didn't make any sense. If he was going to, yeah. I mean, like, I thought that he would pour it on the fire, because again, then it's not spilling it, it's deliberately doing something with it. It's not an accident, it's intentional pouring. I don't know. God damn this movie, seriously.
Or even pouring it on his head to reach through the fire, like, you know, just
Oh, that?
something,
Yeah,
you know,
that?
just, there are a few things, but drinking it just didn't make,
No.
Okay. Out of 5 stars. I think I'm going to give it the highest.
almost certainly.
You knew this was coming.
Yeah, I did. I just, okay. I like the comedic value, but that's really pretty much the only thing the movie had going for me. Besides that, it was made for Eddie Murphy's humor, and it worked for that. But that's about it. I give it 2.
Ooh, ouch. Okay, your turn.
I don't know. I literally have a note here. Rating, I don't know. I don't know what I just watched.
Is that on page 3 or 4?
It's on page 4. It's point number 44.
44 points.
46.
There are 46 total, but there was one more that was about the credits, which was any similarity to person's actual persons or events is unintentional. Oh, I think this is one of those times where that goes without saying, don't you? And then I have my 46th point about why they killed the girl, which made no sense. I 2 or 3, somewhere in there, just because I felt like it was a good. It had potential, but it was insane. I mean, like, here I have this note from 45 minutes in. Granted, it was like 12:18 in the morning. When I was starting to question the potential and moral life lessons one could glean from this movie, or this whatever it is. This was during his dream sequence where there was Paris and like a horse wandering around. And I was like, I thought maybe it's some kind of life lesson about how life is like being tied up with toilet paper, because it might seem like you're half naked and just kind of screaming for help. But all it takes is, somebody starting to rip the toilet paper, and then you see how easy it is to rip toilet paper, and you can make your way out and go have another shower. I don't know.
Maybe your problem was looking for a lesson in this movie. There was no greater theme.
It was 20 after midnight, and I was like, I'd gotten 45 minutes in without getting anything from it except utter confusion and bafflement.
If it didn't have Eddie Murphy in it, playing his last, like it.
I did like his line where he called her Agent 69. I'm like, yeah, that's so smart.
I gave it a 3. Even though there was a lot of what the fuck in this movie, it was still fun and enjoyable. It's good light entertainment. If you're looking for overarching themes, you're going to be disappointed because it is just a silly adventure story. But I had a lot of fun with it.
Although the adventure also makes no sense, so don't really.
Of course it does. You go on a quest against the agents of hell to save the golden child.
Duh. Yeah. No. Don't get
So,
excited about
do you
that.
have a rating?
Between 2 and 3.
Between 2 and 3, somewhere.
It varies depending on which section.
Depends. Am I reading the MacGyver episode that it was, the movie that it was, or the music video series that it was? Like,
Just specifically for Tom, 2.38.
Yeah, just to annoy Tom.
2.38179. In your face.
Tom, we love you.
Oh, can I? One more point? Which is, sorry. I have a lot of them. It's related to what you were saying about the unnecessary backflips when she started right beside him and could have pushed him. It's been established the golden child can move the dagger around. So why send it shooting over to Eddie Murphy so he can try to like get up and keep fighting the demon when you could just, lift it and throw it in the demon's heart?
Because
Golden child
pure doesn't kill. That's easily answered.
That's the goddamn stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
All right, Jasmine, you pick the next one.
Oh, you're gonna pick the shit out of it.
Ew.
Make sure to wash your hands after.
This one's just for Tom because we've been ribbing him this whole time. Akira, 1988.
Nice.
All right, so that's the movie we'll be watching in a fortnight. If you want to say anything about the film, leave a comment down below. If you want to suggest other movies, leave a comment down below. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much.
See ya.
God damn it, Tom, I wish you were here.